Some people are used to keeping rules. Don't cross the street when the light is red. Only sensible. It turns out that keeping rules isn't the same as keeping covenant, which asks us, instead of keeping a bright line, to keep our priorities. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and place, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected this planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. The chalice is a reminder that the flame we keep inside of us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. The thing you must be is yourself, unadulterated, shedding the willingness to journey alone. As though you are made of something hard and unforgivable. You are human. You belong right here, right now. And together, we will chase away the sickness, the secrets, and leave only the open possibility that the future is a space for growth.
Walking through life is just not that easy. Trouble and sorrow come in with no reason. Same old in a world that's been broken. Don't you need a song? Don't you need a welcome, welcome? With this moment of grace, come in, you're welcome. In the peace of this place, we say welcome. In the darkness and the light, we share a welcome. Through the morning and the night, these doors are open. Welcome, welcome. We come newborn with opening hearts. We are one love, and love never stops. We share one moon, one breath and one moment. With thrown open arms, we welcome. Somehow all things will fall into beauty. Somehow the light comes and shines right through you and me. Almighty love has its own unfolding. Hold on to the ones you love and sing a never-ending welcome, welcome. Beyond grief and politics, come in, you're welcome. Beyond the walls of fear and shame, we say welcome. From the mountains and the valleys and the oceans, we call out an unbounded welcome. We come newborn with opening hearts. We are one love, and love never stops. We share one moon, one breath and one moment. With thrown open arms, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Doug Belling, and along with my spouse, Bailey Whiteman, and Rev Nancy, of course, we invite you to allow yourself to be moved today. And I mean that not just in the spiritual and emotional sense, but also a literal one, as you will see. If you feel moved in body, mind, or spirit this morning, don't catch yourself. If you feel brave, let someone else see you. Be moved. Give yourself that gift, as hard as it may be. RRUUC is a vibrant, engaged, generous, and talented congregation. If you'd like to learn more about getting connected to our community, you can email to connections@rruuc.org. And someone will be in touch to find out how we can help you feel welcome. This morning, we're going to explore one example of faith formation, the journey that Bailey and I started on 20 years ago in 2002 after September 11th. That irreversible event showed us how vulnerable we are, individually and collectively. Could we find comfort and familiar rituals by going to church after experiencing that trauma? We needed something unshakable, something that would be a North Star. Bailey will tell you about the start of her journey presently, but I know that for me, one thing that was unexpectedly calming in those days was the simple ritual of lighting a candle. It's strange how that one gesture, which takes no more than a few seconds, could hold so much. So, I'd like to invite you to light a candle or two if the Spirit moves you, and that includes all of you who are joining us from the near and far corners of the web. Take a moment and find yourself a candle or a chalice. I'll bet some of you already light your own chalice when service starts. If you don't, you might consider adding that small ritual. Here in the sanctuary, there will be 2 pillars with candles available throughout the service. You can choose when or if you want to light a candle. Together, we can hold all the light that we can make. Bailey and I met through music and dance, and we'd like to offer you lots of music today, as well as a story this morning. There will also be a time to dance together at the conclusion of today's service. I invite you to let yourself really arrive in this sacred space with your spiritual family. I know it helps me to arrive by just pausing and taking a couple of deep breaths. Come, let us worship together.
Let me tell you about the fish and the loaves. Jesus of Nazareth was a great mystic teacher. He had this knack for taking spiritual concepts about God and life and love and teaching them in simple stories. And people loved his teachings. They loved his parables, and they were fascinated by the rumors that he could do miracles. And so they followed him and listened and waited and watched to see if something spectacular would happen. Well, on one occasion, Jesus was teaching a multitude of hundreds of people. And it was starting to get dark. It was starting to get late. So his disciples, the group of people who traveled with him, they said, Jesus, maybe we should send this crowd home so they can eat and rest, so they don't stay here and get hangry at us. But Jesus said, why would we send them away? Let's just feed them. Well, the disciples said, Jesus, we would feed them if we had any food. Jesus thought about this and said, we have hundreds of people here. Let's survey the crowd and see if anybody has anything with them. And even though the disciples knew it would take half a year's pay to come up with enough money to provide the food to feed this crowd, they did as their teacher asked. And lo and behold, there was one young man, a child really, who had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish he had just caught. The disciples, even though they knew this was nowhere near enough food to feed this crowd, they brought it to Jesus as he had requested. Jesus looked at the food, the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and he gave thanks. He thanked the child who was willing to share, and he thanked the Creator who was responsible for all bounty. And he told his disciples, go, feed the crowd. And when everyone had had their fill, there were 12 baskets of bread and fish left over. There are so many golden nuggets in this story. My personal favorite is that when Jesus saw what most of us would look at as a paltry amount of food, he didn't go, what is this? That's not enough. Jesus looked at what was there and he gave thanks. He was grateful for what was available in the moment. And this is a story about what all of us need and all of us have to do great things in the world and to do small things with great love. We've got to have faith. We have to be able to believe that what we want to see in the world is possible. You could even say that renewing our faith is the first step to doing, being, becoming anything. I have a teacher who says that we always have faith. We're always believing in something. The question is, where do we focus our faith? This story is one I grew up with, and it inspired this song. You can have faith. You can move this mountain. If you can have faith, you can calm this sea. Renew your faith at love's sweet fountain. With just a little faith, I do believe we can do anything. Take your time, look and find the path that inspires your soul. Step by step, breath by breath, you're moving towards your goal. If you can have faith, then you can change a nation. If you can have faith, you can reach a heart. We all know that faith requires cultivation. If you want to change the world, renewing your faith is a place to start. Take your time, look and find a path that inspires your soul. Step by step, breath by breath, you're moving towards your goal. If you can have faith, then you can move this mountain. If you can have faith, you can calm this sea. Renew your faith, that love sweet fountain. With just a little faith, I do believe I can do anything. With just a little faith, I do believe we can do anything.
Leah Morris, friends. Our theme for the month, renewing faith, can be a challenging one for a congregation full of skeptics and mystics, all swirled up together sometimes in one single human heart. But the story Leah recorded for us for our monthly theme this time, it's a precious one to me, because it reminds me what it is to have faith in each other. To believe that when people come together, we can be more than a hangry crowd with a great lot of demands about how someone else will feed us, but indeed be one another's people. And so as children, youth, and their teachers are headed off to their classes, high school are going to go through the doors right over here. Elementary school is going to go through the doors in the back, and we'll continue to explore these ideas about what it means to have faith first and foremost in each other and in that which holds us even in the hardest times. I am so grateful that we gather to share the time and the talent and the treasure of everyone in this congregation, and I am so grateful that we gather today for the first lay-led service in 2.5 years. Because the pulpit and the words of blessing don't belong to one person, they belong to all of us, just as the work of the congregation and the work of the world belongs to all of us. We gather together, you know, or perhaps are just discovering in the midst of our stewardship season. Don't worry, we don't make it weird. We are blessed and we are honored with every gift every single one of us gives. Thanks to many of you, both at home and here in person, we have, in fact, raised 63% of our goal in this year's stewardship campaign. That means as of Friday, 147 families and individuals have pledged, and we could not be more grateful. If you have not yet pledged, we have made it easy. You can go to our website. There's a big green button that says make a pledge. Every amount counts. Give not until it hurts, but until it feels good to know that your finances and your values are aligned. Members of the Stewardship Committee will be on hand after today's service to share more information about the campaign. You can always drop an email to stewardship@rruuc.org. And we 100% got it together. Our new member challenge is on. If we have 20 new and returning pledgers at any level, it'll unlock $10,000 of additional funds for this year's campaign. If you are new to pledging or you haven't pledged in the last few years, know that any amount makes a difference. And finally, we are delighted that the last 2 weeks, we've heard from lead stewards Joe Salunas and Charlotte Jones-Carroll speaking to this place and to our values. Our lead stewards are members of our community who agreed to share with us why they pledge at River Road. And I'd like to invite up our next lead steward, Raj Mehta. Raj and his wife, Sharmi, are newer to our community. Their interest in our success is tremendous, and I welcome you with my whole heart, Raj.
Thank you, Reverend Nancy. I'm Raj Mehta. My wife and I became members of River Road on September 19th of last year. As I'm new to River Road, you may wonder why I'm a lead steward. Initially, I wondered as well. But as I thought about it, it began to make sense to me. You see, I suspect that Sharmi and I have known about Reverend Nancy longer than most of you have. Let me explain. I was born in a Jain family in India and Sharmi in a Vaishnav Hindu family. We first attended a UU fellowship in Northeast Tennessee, and we became members of Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church in 1976. Holston Valley nurtured us and helped us establish our roots in America. It was an oasis of progressive thought in a deep red part of the country, Northeast Tennessee. For 41 years, when we were members until we moved to Northern Virginia in 2017, we nurtured the roots of this small UU church. I served on the board for 8 years, holding positions of treasurer, president, and membership trustee. Sharmi served as the chair of Ministerial Search Committee and is a founding member of a Buddhist group within the church. Sharmi is a Buddhist UU. I refer to myself as a Jain UU. I learned more about Jainism and my roots as a person born into Jain faith because of UUs. Why? Because when I joined the UU church, they kept asking me about Jain religion. I didn't know a whole lot. And so I started learning. I would go to India and sit with a teacher and learn more about it. How did I first learn about Reverend Nancy? The first time was in 2010. A member of Tennessee congregation had moved to Manassas and had joined Bull Run UU. She told us about Reverend Nancy. Sharmi, I, and 10 other UUs were hungry for more spiritual sermons than we were hearing from our own congregation. So we formed a group that met on Saturdays in our home, and we listened to sermons around the country. And Reverend Nancy's Bull Run sermon broadcasts were some of the first that we had ever heard. So that was around 2010. First time I heard about River Road was when I became a membership trustee at Holston Valley. We had no documented processes for membership, no structure. UU minister told me that River Road had very good processes and structures for membership and pastoral care. Go look at the website. And in 2006, I looked at the website and it was a wealth of information, but I did realize that it was for a large church and we had to skim it down for a small church that we were. During the pandemic, we started watching Reverend Nancy's sermons, and worship services at River Road have nourished us through the isolation of the pandemic. Reverend Nancy's sermons move us, lift us, make us think, make us feel, make us laugh, and yes, sometimes make us angry also, as the sermon did after January 6th insurrection called Who We Are. We have started watching her sermons going back to 2017. You know the term binge watching. on many evenings after dinner, after news, Sharmi will say, "Can you put on an older sermon of Reverend Nancy that we've not seen?" Now that's binge watching. So we watch one together at least 2 or 3 times a week, and soon we'll be caught up. We listened to one in 2019, from 2019, called Moving as a Murmuration, which talked about drawing strength and protection from each other in larger groups, as starlings do, protected, moving as a murmuration when we are doing justice work. We also love Cedar Lane. We respect and enjoy Reverend Abi's ministry with a global touch, and it is wonderful to see the collaboration of the two congregations. We have true reverence, the word reverend. We have true reverence for Reverend Nancy. Reverence meaning deep, adoring respect, love, and awe of somebody holy. In Hindi, the words are Shraddha and Adar. We do not know too many river roaders yet. We hope this will change in time as in-person activities reopen. Our 50-minute drive from Leesburg is a challenge. Perhaps we are looking for a pied-à-terre or a very small condo in Chevy Chase so we can go for an evening event and then spend the night here rather than having to draw back. And we actually have looked at a few, and we're going to look at 3 more this week. So for Sharmi and me, sustaining River Road is important, and we pledge to nourish River Road's roots. Thank you.
Raj, I'm going to ask my kids if they want to binge watch my sermons. Just like when they're done with their homework, it could be a special treat. It'll be great. I know it. Everything we do as a community, everything we say, all the music we make, it points toward how we want to be in the world. And being a part of this congregation involves commitments not only to giving of our time, talent, and treasure, but commitments to connection, to giving of our heart for one another. You can sign up, for instance, right now to be a part of Shelter Week, where we will take over in the best possible way the Montgomery County Women's and Children's Shelter for 1 week, providing all the food and support that they need. We're still looking for registrations. You can find it on the website and in the e-weekly. You can hold the dates on your calendar for the upcoming River Road Retreat and for the Bazaar coming back after a 2-year hiatus on June 4th. Today, our Contemporary Issues Forum is happening with our own Kim and Carl Weichel, reflecting on the social, emotional, and spiritual changes happening in all of us post-pandemic. It will be good to be together, knowing that not just one of us, but all of us are changed. That is this afternoon on Zoom. And right after the service, while we've moved coffee hour indoors because it's so cold, members of our Earth Ministry will be bringing their plug-in hybrids and various gas not guzzling vehicles in rotation out in front so that you can see those vehicles, talk to their owners, and talk about what it might be like to have a lifestyle shift for you and your family. And finally, today we're blessed to welcome new members. If you are interested in joining this merry and sometimes odd bit of travelers on our spiritual journey, you can join me right up here after the service, or we'll gather online at 11:30. It is our great and wonderful gift to be together. And now, as our offering music plays, I invite you to give as you are willing and able. 73256, the number is always on the bottom of the screen for you all at home. And for everyone here in person, you can give in any number of ways. It is a blessing to receive and to give.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter. You're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father. You're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss. The gift to realize that everything
all
is a
that
gift.
I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for
and stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart. Aligned in purpose, everything will feel gorgeous.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all.
Every day I sit and pray cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I give back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan. But there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am,
Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
It's all a blessing, and the wisest among us hold that even when everything changes on a dime. Today, in a time of joys and concerns, we hold Bob Dakane, beloved member of Anna Lim's family, who died too young and unexpectedly while traveling in Manila near his family's home. Bob traveled the whole world in the years of his life. As an artist and a professional, and first and foremost a family member, we will honor him today in a memorial celebration at 3 o'clock here at River Road. We also lift up Pauline Sipple, who is in stable condition after a tragic accident on Friday. Pauline, during the pandemic, some of you know Pauline's an artist, and she had been gathering online with a community of other women making art and meaning through the pandemic. Pauline was dining outdoors at the Parthenon restaurant on a sunny day when an out-of-control vehicle ran up onto the sidewalk and into the outdoor cafe, killing 2 of her dear friends and artistic collaborators and leaving Pauline with multiple injuries requiring care and hospitalization. Pauline is doing well. Her reflections center around the brevity and the beauty of life. Our love, our blessings, and all that healing energy go both to Pauline and to her husband, John, longtime and beloved creators and contributors to everything this community is. For this and all the joys and concerns that rest in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, we make a space today.
Every week, when I'm sitting out there and listening to joys and concerns, inevitably, there's one that catches in my throat, even though I'm not speaking. Does that ever happen to you? This morning, I'd like to offer a prayer of intention for me, for you and for all of us. Will you pray with me? Spirit of life and love, we are so weary sometimes. We hold so many things inside that no one else sees. Joy, anger, sadness, numbness. And yet, no one else can light our way. It's up to us. Some of us are caring for children, trying our best to help them grow into their best selves. Some of us are caring for aging parents who slowly and gradually are slipping away from us, no matter how much love we give them. Some of us are doing both. Some of us are trying to keep a marriage together or get safely out of one. Some of us, yes, are struggling with money or coming to terms with the creeping awareness that a career goal is not going to happen. In that very same moment, some of us are celebrating anniversaries, birthdays. Some of us are enjoying the long-earned fruits of our labor after a long slog. And yet, here we all are. Spirit of life and love, help us to remember how we are fed on Sunday and to think back this coming week about how it felt to be here now with our spiritual family, holding us in its loving embrace. We're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift. All that we are, all that we see, all that we've been, and all that will ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all.
Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember? Bring me sprigs of rosemary, be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. This one knocked me to the ground, this one brought me to my knees. I should have seen it coming, but it surprised me. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember? Bring me sprigs of rosemary, be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. In a state of true believers, on on streets called us and them. It's gonna take some time till the world feels safe again. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember? Bring me sprigs of rosemary, be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. You can rest here in Brown Chapel or in a circle of friends, a quiet grove of trees or between two bookends. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember? Bring me sprigs of rosemary, be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on. This is a love story. Now, this love story, like any good love story, has tropes. For those of you who perhaps don't read as many contemporary romance novels as I do, tropes help us recognize what might be coming. And there are many common love story tropes, and the three in this story are soulmates, second chance, and marriage of convenience. So, when Doug and I were first engaged, we wrote a relationship vision. We were advised that this vision should be entirely in the present tense, whether any given statement were currently true or not. And one of the statements we wrote was, we practice our spirituality individually and in community. I'll say this again. We practice our spirituality individually and in community. This was not true. We were not doing this. This was our vision, and we said so. As Doug mentioned, we moved here to the DC area in August of 2001, and obviously the events of September 11th came short on the heels of our moving to Capitol Hill. And although for decades at that point, I had been singing as a paid singer, predominantly in the Episcopal Church, which is how both Doug and I were raised, I found quickly that I needed a spiritual home for my work that was more in harmony with what I believed. And through guidance from colleagues and friends, I found my way to All Souls Unitarian, where they did and still do pay wonderful singers to help anchor their music program. And the first Sunday that I sang was Martin Luther King Day Sunday of 2002.
so just over 20 years ago. And that day, I managed to sing when I wasn't crying. And I went home and I said, Doug, that thing we said about practicing our spirituality in community, this is that thing. We have to do this together. And we found that it was a place that was both deeply familiar and in harmony with who we wanted to be. Now, we fell deeply in love. This is the soulmates story. There we were, grounded in this new love, in fact, so grounded that rather soon after, I stopped singing for All Souls, and as I said at the time, sat down in the pews for the first time to be in church, not being paid since I was in high school. And it was all of the things of a deep and true love, until it wasn't. And we tried. And maybe now, with greater wisdom, we would have found a way to stay. But we were struggling, and we went seeking another church. And we thought we were going to visit. There are many churches around here that are Unitarian Universalists. We thought, we'll take a little time, we'll do some shopping. However, we first visited Unitarian Universalist Church of Silver Spring, and we were in love again. There was that second chance romance waiting for us in the midst of those beautiful people. And we dove in and did all the things, and then a clergy member we loved had to leave. We were devastated, but we knew that a congregation is not its minister, and so we believed that we should try to stay. And we struggled, and we did, until we couldn't. And at the time, I was serving as the music director at the Washington Ethical Society, and I asked my then boss, whom you know, Reverend Amanda Poppy, where do you think we should look for a new home congregation? And Amanda said, I'd go talk to Nancy at River Road. We said, okay. And we set up a meeting for her, probably about 5 years ago right now. And we were sitting in her office, and we were crying. She said, why are you here? And we said, because our church is broken. And she looked at us so lovingly, and she said, all church is broken. And we cried more. But we understood that this meant that we needed to stop finding the perfect person, the perfect church, the perfect congregation. This would be our marriage of convenience. So we began attending and pledging, doing all the things, taking the classes. But we didn't sign the book for 3 years. We stayed on the sidelines. We were afraid to risk ourselves. And we felt stuck because we didn't know what to do, but we knew we needed to choose.
Wholehearted and Unafraid. From Hymns for a Broken Church, a work in progress by the Reverend Sean Parker Dennison. I do not need you to prove your flawlessness, to convince me that you are exemplary or even competent. I have given up on perfection as a means to anything, especially love. I do not long for unparalleled greatness, phenomenal talent, or the always adequate. I no longer search for immaculate containers to hold anything, especially goodness. I have become ready to be faithful to the broken, to the damaged and surviving, the ones unfit to wield anything but humanness and hope in the face of what hungers to do harm and to destroy. I have become one of the many who by breaking have become wholehearted, no longer afraid to join the cause of imperfection and revel in the heartbeat rhythm of the unfinished, the unrelenting, who keep trying, keep going, keep forgiving, keep returning to each other.
All of my life, I thought I was right, looking for something new. Stuck in my ways like old-fashioned days, but all the roads led me to you. The house that you live in don't make it a home, but feeling lonely don't mean you're alone. People in life, they will come and they'll leave, but if I had a choice, I know where I would be. Through the lows and the highs, I will stay by your side. There's no need for goodbyes. Now I'm seeing the light when the sky turns to gray and there's nothing to say. At the end of the day, I choose you. Now all of my strength to make a change, and look at the magic I found. No matter the name or where you came from, 'cause no one has much figured out. The house that you live in don't make it a home, but feeling lonely don't mean you're alone. People in life, they will come and they'll leave, but if I had a choice, I know where I would be. Through the lows and the highs, I will be by your side. There's no need for goodbyes. Now I'm seeing the light when the sky turns to gray and there's nothing to say. At the end of the day, through the lows and the highs, I will stay by your side. There's no need for goodbyes. Now I'm seeing the light when the sky turns to gray and there's nothing to say. At the end of the day, I choose you. Oh, I choose you. I choose you.
Love. It's complicated. The love story Bailey described is our faith story, our Unitarian Universalism love story. But what about our story? Did you know the divorce rate for first marriages is roughly 50%? Sadly, the divorce rates increase with each subsequent marriage. You might think it would be the opposite. Bailey and I celebrated our 25th meetiversary last Sunday, and this June we'll celebrate 22 years of marriage. We've had our share of ups and downs over the years. We stayed married because we promised each other that we would. At times, moments of joy, of love, of passion were few and far between. There were a lot of months and even years of just keeping on. So why did we keep choosing each other? We held fast to our faith in each other, to the healing power of our love and our trust that we would find our way back to the feeling when we first met. It all started with that spark of recognition. This is the one. We remembered the first time we danced together, pure bliss, and the pain the first time that we parted without a plan for when one of us would visit the other, and the delight in talking together for hours and hours. We chose connection. We chose this relationship and choose caring for each other. We did the things we instinctively knew helped the other feel safe and able to grow. Gradually, after each rocky period, we found our way back to love. In our Unitarian Universalist love story, things began similarly with bliss, pain, delight, including that deep sense of recognition, of seeing and being seen. At church, we chose connection, making new friends, attending social events, signing caring cards. We chose relationships, joining covenant groups, taking adult RE classes, and looking for opportunities to learn, particularly around anti-racism. We chose service, teaching in RE even before we had kids, engaging with social justice work, taking on leadership roles when asked. Choosing those things helped us build our faith. At All Souls and UU Church of Silver Spring, we dove in, we committed, we engaged. Our life was centered on the church, its mission, and the congregation. Our souls were fed in proportion to what we gave the community. Music embodied our faith and showed us a fuller way of building our relationship with each other, the congregation, and the world. After our children were born, we were tired. But that exhaustion helped us discover that church could be a place where we could connect deeply and recharge. The congregation could give back to us in turn. Bailey and I fell in love with 2 UU congregations, and both times we ended up divorcing, leaving when things became too hard, too painful. Although the particulars were different, each time we learned something about ourselves and about what Unitarian Universalism is and could be. You might ask yourself, who would knowingly do this over and over again? You can understand that when we first chose River Road, we hung back psychologically. Our faith became shallower because our relationships were tentative. We were engaging in the same things, but being much more protective of ourselves. Being vulnerable a third time, that's hard. Our belief in Unitarian Universalism didn't falter, but our sense of belonging, the feeling that we belong to each other in community, was more fragile. Unitarian Universalism it's like a person you love, perfect and utterly flawed, beautiful and at sometimes variously cruel, affirming, and soul-crushing. But just as we've committed to our own marriage over and over, we realized we had to do the same thing with our congregation. We couldn't just keep pulling up stakes and moving on, as though some other magical congregation existed out there where we could fall in love and everything would be perfect. That happily ever after isn't real, as you know. Choosing the faith, choosing River Road, means choosing to stay over and over. Sometimes without evidence of love, just having faith in it. And holding that faith shows us that the love is there, within and among us. Unitarian Universalism challenges us to stretch, to learn, to grow. We make this faith with and for each other, here in community, together. It's our decision. We choose.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, life will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, you will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. Love is our decision. It's up to us to dance down the road. Love is our decision. No one else can lighten our load. And once we decide to change our minds, love will show us how. Love is our our decision right here and now. It's our decision right here and now.
Bailey and Doug. We know that community doesn't happen unless people choose to make it happen, and we are grateful to Shuai Wang, John Lee with their music today. Raj Mehta is our lead steward. Thank you. Our whole crew, Scott, Danny, and Jeff in the sound booth, and blessedly, amazingly, Bailey and Doug are rather less repressed than I am. Hallelujah. And so after I do the gong that says the service is officially over, they are going to invite you while more music plays to dance, because why the hell not? Coffee hour is inside because it's real cold, but you can still get there and get the coffee and the cookies and do all the things today. What a blessing it is to be each other's people. And so, while we take this light we have kindled out into the waiting world and home in our own hearts, may the truth that makes us free, the love that casts out fear, and the hope that never dies guide us and those we do not love forward together till the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away. Amen. All right.